From the Cronkite Studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
We're tracking a story about a Supreme Court decision on a case involving a Border Patrol officer who was on U.S. soil when he shot and killed a teen in Mexico.
And we show you more about a special type of sporting arena, one that might remind you of the Wild West.
Plus, a feathered new addition to the Phoenix Zoo may look small, but its impact could be huge for the state of Arizona.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Gabriella Collage.
And I'm Kevin Thompson. Thank you for joining us.
How far do constitutional protections go? The Supreme Court will consider that question in the case of a Border Patrol officer who was standing in Texas when he shot and killed a teen in Mexico.
It's a ruling that experts say will affect a nearly identical case in Nogales. Julian Parras reports from our Washington bureau.
The court last week said it will consider whether Border Patrol agent Jesus Mesa Jr. violated the Fourth Amendment rights of Sergio Hernandez, a 15-year-old Mexican who Mesa shot in 2010.
So the question that the Supreme Court is looking at is, can these foreign nationals sue U.S. federal agents when the incident has occurred sort of transnationally across a border?
The Fifth Circuit Court said no in Mesa's case, but the Ninth Circuit ruled differently in the Nogales shooting. It said the family of 16-year-old Jose Rodriguez could sue Border Patrol agent Lonnie Swartz, who shot Jose repeatedly in Nogales, Sonora in 2012.
It's clear that a U.S. citizen would be able to recover federal damages or damages against a federal agent, but whether a foreign national would have that same right.
The families of both teens cite the Supreme Court's ruling in a case called Bivens. The ruling allows federal agents to be sued in some cases for actions that might otherwise be protected.
The idea in Bivens was that even if Congress hasn't created a statute that you can sue under, you could sue directly under the Constitution if a federal officer violated your constitutional rights.
But the attorneys for Swartz argued it should be left to Congress, not the courts. Even if the high court says Bivens applies, the families still have a long way to go to prove their cases.
The officer could say he was acting within the legitimate course of his law enforcement duties, and he might have made an error, but it's not an error that is sufficiently egregious to give rise to damages.
The court is nearing the end of its current term and will not hear arguments in the border shootings until sometime next fall. At the Supreme Court, Julian Parras, Cronkite News.
The latest on President Trump's tariffs on Mexican imports. He tweeted earlier today that if we are able to make the deal with Mexico, and there's a good chance that we will, they'll begin purchasing farm and agricultural products at very high levels starting immediately. President Trump goes on to say that if they can't make a deal, the 5% tariff is scheduled to start Monday. Arizonans could feel the impact with higher costs to produce, cars, and more.
Everyone's going to feel the pain because tariffs are a polite way to say taxes. So right now we import Mexico times 4 is Arizona's largest export market. We also import $9 billion worth of goods. So let's just do simple math. If you're doing a 5% tariff, that's a tax of $450 million. And the president has threatened to ratchet this up to 25%. That's billions of dollars.
President spoke out against the tariffs. In fact, he called for a demonstration on the Mexico-U.S. border tomorrow to protest the tariffs.
President Trump wants Mexico to do more to stem the tide of migrants coming from Central America to the United States. Record numbers of migrants have been making their way to the border, and as the weather heats up, crossing from Mexico into Arizona becomes more dangerous, even deadly. Cronkite News reporter Marcela Bayeto went to Tucson to learn about how medical examiners identify human remains found in the desert in hopes of providing closure for families.
Fingerprints, DNA, and personal belongings. All of them clues the Pima County Medical Examiner's Office uses when trying to identify migrant bodies and remains found in the Arizona desert.
We average about 150 deaths or these remains that we find in a given year. And we're the medical examiner for Pima County, Santa Cruz County, and Cochise County. So basically that is the the border of the Tucson sector.
With hundreds of people dying each year trying to cross, humanitarian aid groups like No More Death says they're focused on saving lives.
The #1 cause of death in the desert is exposure. Water is the response to exposure. The point of a water drop is to alleviate some of the death and suffering that happens in the desert.
But when that death does happen, that's when the medical examiner steps in. Its goal is to identify skeletal remains like these from one border crosser who didn't make it. Any items found on the bodies like IDs, wallets, and pictures can help examiners piece together who this person was. These lockers here at the medical examiner's office are holding many belongings from unidentified migrants whose bodies were found in the desert. According to the Pima County Medical Examiner's Office, the remains of 127 migrants were found in 2018. That's a difference of 95 bodies when compared to the all-time high number of bodies recovered back in 2010. That year alone, 222 were found. Back at the lab, fingerprints are another important tool the ME uses to try and identify an unnamed migrant.
If they have tissue that's available, we'll disarticulate the hand at the wrist and rehydrate it in a solution of sodium hydroxide.
With immigrants attempting to cross the rugged desert, examiners like Lindsay know their work is invaluable. It's the kind of work that can help bring closure to a migrant's family once the remains have been identified.
Somebody's out there looking for this person, and for us to be at least able to tell them that, you know, what's happened to them, I think is a good thing. Either way, it doesn't matter who you are. If you come into this office and you're unidentified, you know, we want to treat everyone the same.
In Tucson, Marcela Baedo, Cronkite News.
The latest numbers on unidentified border crossers for 2018 isn't out yet, but the chief medical examiner says he's hoping to publish the report in just a few months.
Jury deliberations are underway in the criminal trial for a man who helped migrants with desert crossings. Scott Warren says he volunteered to help migrants by providing water, food, and shelter. Federal prosecutors say that Warren conspired to harbor 2 migrants. His trial has drawn attention to human rights groups who say the Trump administration is increasingly targeting border activists. Warren is one of several volunteers recently charged with misdemeanors related to their border work, although he is the only one that is facing felony counts.
The federal government is opening a new mass shelter for migrant children near the U.S.-Mexico border. They are also considering housing children on 3 military bases to add more than 3,000 beds to the overtaxed system in the coming weeks. Migrant children will soon be sent from the border to a complex once used to house oil field workers in Texas. The new space will be used as emergency facilities. This expansion comes after the government announced it would cut recreation, English language courses, and legal services for the more than 1,300 immigrant children in its care.
The deadline is closing for Governor Doug Ducey to act upon several controversial bills. So far, he signed emergency legislation allowing several Navajo Nation children to keep attending a private school in New Mexico using state money. He also approved a plan to take out 20% of annual increases to corporate tax credits that fund private school scholarships. Governor Ducey has until tomorrow night at midnight to act on the other bills.
Officials at the Grand Canyon National Park are lifting water restrictions after repairing a damaged pipeline. The pipeline supplies water to one rim of the Grand Canyon right now. Most of the water services have been restored for now, but drinking water will remain off at the Supai Tunnel on the North Kaibab Trail. However, rest areas along the Bright Angel Trail and other major stops will provide drinking water. There are 4 new baby pygmy owls at the Phoenix Zoo. The babies hatched just a little over 3 weeks ago and are currently being cared for by 2 pairs of adult owls. These baby pygmy owls are native only to Arizona, southern Texas, and northern Mexico. They nest inside the holes on saguaro cactuses. There are believed to be less than 100 of the pygmy owls in Arizona.
And we've officially hit triple digits here in the valley, and it doesn't seem to be letting up anytime soon.
No, it does not. Ryan Sundin has the latest weather update. How's it looking outside, Ryan?
So summer has started here, guys, and we are going to hit those hot temperatures that Arizona is known for. But today we're starting off at 91 earlier in the day. It's going to keep getting hotter throughout the day. We got 92 down in Yuma, which is pretty much the same. But if you wanted to go to the Grand Canyon, it's 70 and 71. So that's really nice, and it's a really good place to go and good time to go. Tomorrow, if you want to get out and go hiking, the weather's pretty nice before 12. So if you want to go, I would say go before noon. But if you do go after noon, let's say bring a lot of water because it's going to be really sunny and really hot. Gets up to 99 at 4 and then it rises from there. Let's see the rest of the weekend. So Saturday and Sunday, we're at 101 and 105, but from there on for the rest of the week, it just keeps heating up. And we go to 107, 108, and then 110 on Wednesday is our high for the week. And then on Friday, we get to a brisk 103 where it starts cooling down a little bit. I'm Ryan Sundin, live from the Weather Center. Back to you guys.
Well, out in New River, there's a special type of sporting arena, one with a Wild West type of vibe. Reporter Lindsay Amundsen checked out Larkin Memorial Arena, home to mounted shooting competitions.
Most mounted shooters in the New River Yacht Club started competing because of their love for shooting guns, racing horses, and the fierce competition. But for professional trainer and champion mounted shooter Daniel Bird, his love for the sport happened by accident.
I was playing polo professionally at the time, and the guy I was running the club for in Santa Fe was a multidiscipline facility, and he had done mounted shooting previously. So he had me put on an event there. He goes, okay, we're having mounted shoot. And I said, what in the world is that?
Contestants race in a pattern around barrels with a holster that holds 2 single-action 45 caliber revolvers. They draw the first gun and shoot the first 5 targets, then draw the second gun and shoot the last 5 targets.
When we started this sport, we beat somebody by a second. It's like, woo, we're fast. So you go in the top 5 into a big event now. It's 1,000th, so you can't even comprehend. I mean, much less you're handling two 6-guns, holstering, and doing that in 10, 11, 12 seconds.
It may be a competition about who can shoot all their targets the fastest, but ask anyone here, their favorite part about the sport is the relationships they've made with all the riders.
The camaraderie, the people that you meet, we all come from all walks of life, and with 2 things in common, guns and horses, and it's a great group to hang out with.
But just like any other sport, sometimes their equipment breaks, and as close as these shooters are, they're always willing to lend a helping hand.
My horse stung himself, and I couldn't run him on the last stage, so a friend of mine said, hey, borrow my horse.
This sport has created a family, one with a special bond brought by the love of horses and guns. A place where Bird says is a Saturday well spent. In New River, Lindsay Amundsen, Cronkite News.
The mounted shooters will now begin gearing up for the Lakota Western U.S. Championships in Las Vegas starting on July 24th. They'll be competing against mounted shooters from all over the U.S.
Coming up next, we take a look back at the top stories of the week. We'll show you how to prepare now for the upcoming monsoon season so that you're ready for the wind and rain.
And honoring Muhammad Ali by making sure his name is a permanent part of downtown Phoenix.
Here at Cronkite News, we have producers who craft shows that make an impact on our community. Our broadcasts allow students to be involved in all levels of production, from producing to directing. We are guided by highly respected professionals who mentor the journalists of tomorrow. From technical directing to teleprompting and beyond, our production crew works tirelessly to produce meaningful and award-winning shows. We are Cronkite News on Arizona PBS.
As journalists at Cronkite News, we report on stories that matter to you by focusing on the local impact. We dig deeper and work tirelessly to keep you informed.
Live in Wickerburg.
Live in Los Angeles.
In Cleveland. In Washington. In Louisville.
From Jerusalem.
Live in Philadelphia.
From around the world to right here in Phoenix.
At Cronkite News, we report the facts and stick to the truth.
Monsoon season is approaching, but the National Weather Service predicts it will start later than normal.
Cronkite News reporter Amanda Slee joins us with tips on what to expect.
Monsoon season in the Phoenix area usually hits July 4th, but Ken Waters says that this year will be a little different.
You notice it because the dew point goes up, which means the humidity goes up, and we all feel it when we go outside.
Monsoons bring many hazards both in your home and out driving. That's why Salt River Project representatives urge you to keep a kit ready with supplies.
Remembering to have, things like a can opener that is not electric, because obviously the electricity could be out for an extended power amount of time depending on outages that occur. Having things like batteries that are also charged and ready to go, having portable chargers completely charged as well for your cell phones that we rely on.
Power outages during monsoon season mean possible downed lines. Scott Cars with APS demonstrates with a hot dog what happens when you touch one of those lines.
We used 7,000 volts to energize the hot dog, but that was less than 1 amp. And so what you'd be exposed to on a real power line would be hundreds, maybe even 1,000 times larger than that.
Driving is another hazard during these big storms. Hydroplaning is a common thing when it comes to monsoon season, and what officers want to get out is that it's better to slow down than spin out. Phoenix police say 3 factors play into hydroplaning: speed, low tread, and how much water is on the road.
It's always the first 10 minutes that can be the most dangerous, and that's because on the roadway, cars as they drive day after day after day, they drop oil and other debris from their vehicles, other fluids, that when the rain first comes, it causes those fluids to rise to the surface. So essentially, in the first 10 minutes, you can be driving on an oil slick.
With wet roads also comes the potential for flooding. The City of Phoenix storm response team travels out to flooded areas. They set up a command center to vacuum up water and keep people out of the area.
There's potential there could be a hole in the street, potholes where we don't know the water is running through the street. And just if they see the area, turn around and just avoid it.
As you can see, there's a lot of teams that go into making sure monsoon season happens as safe as possible. In Phoenix, Amanda Slee, Cronkite News.
City crews in Glendale finished up their annual 5-month process called hydrant flushing. It's when they open up fire hydrants and let the water run. Cronkite News reporter Jennifer Alvarez went to Glendale to find out what this process is like and how flushing these hydrants can make our communities safer.
It's a quick process.
Usually I don't have to open a hydrant for more than a few minutes.
But those few minutes actually make a big difference.
I've got all my safety cones set up. I've got my aero board on for traffic purposes. I'm gonna go ahead, get my hydrant wrench and our fire hose. Now our hose is hooked up to this diffuser here. That helps break down this water, because if I didn't have that and we were just opening these ports, it would make quite a big mess.
Hydrant flushing helps rid of built-up sediments in hydrants that can slow down water flow to businesses and residents.
I'm going to hook up my hydrant wrench here, and I'm going to go to my 2-inch port, and this is where I'll be hooking up my hydrant hose. And then, simple as that, we're ready to go.
The city flushes out about 300 gallons per minute during the whole process in over 8,600 hydrants each year. And they say this process also helps keep everyone safe in case of emergency.
We are going to check the functionality of that fire hydrant to assure its readiness in the event of emergency. So it's really many factors, but it's really about fire suppression.
The main importance definitely is to make sure that our fire hydrants are working and operational to where when there is an emergency, the fire department can come and do their job and they'll have no issues, because that hydrant's well lubricated, it's well maintained, and it's flowing like it should be.
In Glendale, Jennifer Alvarez, Cronkite News.
Hydrant flushing can cause water to look a little cloudy or discolored in your home or business. So if this happens, the city says you should run the cold water in a sink or bathtub until it clears up.
One local organization is stepping up to help members of the homeless community in Phoenix.
Cronkite News reporter Gabriela Collage shows us how they are making a difference one lunch bag at a time.
One organizer told us it was a social media post that inspired him to take action and provide basic necessities to those going through a difficult time. 7 years later, an army of volunteers wanting to also help is now part of that process. Water bottles, cereal, snacks, and stocked up toiletry bags.
Thank you. God bless you. God bless you.
All of them part of how one local organization is helping those in our community who need it most. One of the volunteers, Jasonda Manuel, says it was something he saw on social media that motivated him to want to step up and contribute.
Ramses Jah posted a young lady that was digging through the trash looking for food.
These care packages are being put together by dozens of volunteers for #LunchBagPhoenix. It's an organization that provides essentials for those who are homeless. They also partner up with local groups like CAS, Central Arizona Shelter Services.
We've worked with CAS for a few years now, and they will communicate with the clients that will be showing up. Usually it's the last Sunday of the month to pass out different things. Some of the things that we give away include lunch bags, of course.
According to the Maricopa Association of Governments, there were over 6,600 people experiencing homelessness at the beginning of this year. Those numbers are part of the reason why these volunteers gathered at this event in downtown Phoenix. It's a mission that volunteers like Carol Jefferson say is what brings them out to lend a helping hand every time.
It gives you a sense of happiness not only for yourself, but being able to see the joy. And granted, it's not every person that we're seeing joy on, but we're making an impact, even if it's in the smallest amount, having somebody come up to you and thank you for what we're doing.
Volunteers distributed 100 lunches and 400 hygiene bags this time around. #LunchBag meets on the last Sunday of every month to put together these care packages. In the studio, Gabriela Collage, Cronkite News.
3 years ago today, boxing great Muhammad Ali passed away at his home in Scottsdale after a long battle with Parkinson's disease. Cronkite News reporter Gabriel Moreno joins us in the broadcast center as Phoenix honors Ali's contribution to Parkinson's research and treatment.
Muhammad Ali fought Parkinson's disease for nearly 30 years before his death in 2016. But the legacy of that battle lives on at the Muhammad Ali Parkinson's Center at the Barrow Neurological Institute in Phoenix.
I always think to myself, if I don't make time for wellness, then I have to make time for illness. So I need to be healthy, and the Parkinson's Center helps me with that.
And now, patients arriving at the Parkinson's Center will approach on a street named for the man known simply as Champ. Monday, the city of Phoenix renamed the portion of West Merrill Street between Central and 3rd Avenues Muhammad Ali Way, part of a day celebrating Ali's contributions to Parkinson's research and treatment.
I'm proud to announce that the city of Phoenix has proclaimed today, June 3rd, 2019, as Muhammad Ali Day in honor of the legacy left behind in Phoenix at the Muhammad Ali Parkinson's Center.
At the Muhammad Ali Parkinson's Center and new intersection of Muhammad Ali Way, his impact and legacy continue to grow due to the now 1,500 new patients being serviced here every year.
It's all about you. This is all for you, okay? And I really, really appreciate it, and Muhammad would be so proud.
The center has grown significantly since it opened in 1997, from 5,000 square feet to more than 26,000 square feet. Even Ali's greatest opponents in the ring admire the impact of the Parkinson's Center that bears their former foe's name.
I tell Mama to love him because he was so good to me and my family. Took good care of us.
According to Barrow, the Muhammad Ali Parkinson's Center now treats more than 14,000 patients each year. In the broadcast center, Gabriel Moreno, Cronkite News.
It seems that America's pastime isn't just for boys.
Cronkite News reporter Emmy Keenan has more details on an all-girls baseball team in Chandler, a team that has one special little girl.
Doctors diagnosed 7-year-old Leighton Accardo with stage 4 cancer on May 15th. She began chemotherapy just 2 days later. Now her friends and family stand with her at one of the places she loves the most, the baseball diamond.
This
It's my bracelet. It says, "You are strong, you are brave, you've got this."
One thing that gives Layton strength through her cancer fight, her East Valley baseball family. When Layton was still playing t-ball, long before a cancer diagnosis, her mom Carly started an all-girls baseball team. Layton wanted to be on a team with other girls just like her.
So Layton, she's my eldest. She plays on the oldest Peaches team, and that team plays baseball and softball. She also plays baseball on a boys team here at East Valley on the AZ 643, and then she plays hockey and she figure skates.
Carly said Layton spends every moment she can at Chandler's SB Park playing baseball with her friends. Her baseball family came together on May 28th for Shavin' for Layton, where people could come and shave their heads in support as she goes through chemotherapy.
It was pretty overwhelming. So many people. The energy out here was really great, and I think the love, the prayers, the support, I think that's enough to kick cancer's butt.
Layton has had to make a rough transition from being on the go as a multi-sport athlete to now spending her time in the hospital.
So for her to not be out doing those things right now is very frustrating for her, but I know she's determined to get back out doing those things as soon as she can.
Layton begins her second round of chemo on Thursday. According to Johns Hopkins Medicine, the cure rate for malignant germ cell tumors at stage 4 is 82%. In the studio, Emmy Keenan, Cronkite News.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.